Everybody, welcome to my channel, Be Free Now with Maria. So today I'm going to start out with my bag of words to see what I'm inspired to share. Let's see, what do we got? Oh boy, I got two words. One fell on the floor. Hold on. Love. Okay, so love is the one that fell on the floor, and the other one is procrastination. So procrastination. No, we're going to start with love. Love immediately makes me think of self-love. Self-love is a very special love, right? It's a love that we have for ourselves. And it's so important because without it, we lose our way. And it happens subtly. It's not something that we're consciously usually paying attention to, but it's something that's happening subconsciously throughout the day and in our lives. In other words, we get so caught up with life and taking care of our responsibilities, people pleasing and functioning, that we forget to take time to fill up our own cup and to take some time to love ourselves, to accept ourselves just as we are, and to learn, right, to build this relationship with ourselves that is intimate, encouraging, positive, uplifting, and inspiring. So when we spend that time and we say nice things to ourselves, or we learn to be gentler with ourselves, right? These are things that will uplift us and help us feel good. Now, love, right? I thought first of self-love, but love can be in many areas, right? We can love in lots of different ways, but self-love is the love that builds us up so that we can love others that much more whole or intimately as well. In other words, when we have a balanced relationship with ourselves and we love ourselves, right, and we are feeling good about ourselves, then it's easier to have that with other people. If we're not, right, in good space with ourselves and loving ourselves, then we end up having relationships with people that, yes, we love, but we love them for who they are, right? I mean, and who they are in our lives, but we may not have that loving relationship with them because we're not loving ourselves. So we can't really create that with somebody else. We have to first create that relationship with ourselves, and then we can have it with somebody else. If not, we're constantly projecting what we feel about ourselves. So if we are loving ourselves, then we're going to project that. And if we're not loving ourselves, we're going to project that as well. And we're always going to feel like they don't love us enough or aren't doing enough in some way, shape, or form. Even if we believe they love us, right, they're not doing enough. Or there's some other interference based on a belief, right? But that belief is based on the fact that, yes, if we're not loving ourselves, then we don't think we're lovable, and no matter what anybody else does or feels about us, we are not able to receive it because we're not loving ourselves. And when we think about love and procrastination, right, that then leads to when it makes me think of when we're not loving ourselves, we're more likely to procrastinate as well, because we're going to connect more with fear and worry and beliefs about us not being enough, that we are going to procrastinate, right? Because we're feeling yucky based on these thoughts, and we're going to find ourselves holding back and not moving forward because there's this underlying lack of self-love and negative beliefs about ourselves, which then play themselves out, right, in other areas of our lives, not just in, romantic relationships or personal, intimate relationships, but in work relationships and social relationships and so forth. So it has that ripple effect. Now, self-love, is a practice. It's not something that maybe we can establish right overnight, but if every day we spend time to cultivate that, eventually we'll start to build a stronger foundation, and we can grow from there. And the other piece, to self-love is also reminding ourselves that of who we are and what we are, and spending some time exploring what that is. If we don't really have a clear picture of it, that's okay. Then let's look at ourselves as a whole, right? Not just our physical body, but what else, right? What else is, I'm thinking like a part of us, right? But it's not really a part of us, right? What else am I, right? If I'm not just this physical body, then I'm a soul, right? And if I have a soul, or I am a soul, because really we don't have a soul, we are a soul, then that plays a role too, right? And that helps us cultivate, right, this intimate relationship with our divine self. And from that space, right, we also build ourselves up, but even stronger, because when we know that we are, right, a soul, and that we are, I'm thinking divine inheritance, right, but divinely complete, and that we're not necessarily lacking, right? That's our shadow-based thoughts. But when we are connecting with our soul and loving ourselves from that perspective, then no, it's different, right? We see ourselves as divinely whole, and therefore us not being enough doesn't make sense, or us not being lovable doesn't make sense. And once it doesn't make sense, we no longer want to hold on to it, right? It's easier for us, or it just makes more sense, when I say easier for us, to shift, because we're contradicting ourselves, and we can see that, and then we know, okay, there's a shift that needs to happen, because if this is true, then this can't be true. In other words, if I'm divinely complete, then there's no way I cannot be enough, right? It doesn't make sense. They're opposing each other. And we then have to make one true, because they both can't be true. So I just wanted to share that today. Let me see. I'm going to pick another word and see what else. What last message I could depart with. Okay, so let's see. Disgust. Disgust. Makes me think, right? Disgust is the opposite of love. Sometimes, right, when we're not loving ourselves, in some way we can have some form of disgust of ourselves or of other people. But that's usually when we're not tolerant of ourselves, we're not loving ourselves, then we can't be tolerant of others. And yes, we're more likely to feel disgust, less patient, more irritable, more and more confrontational, but also, right, have more interpersonal problems in our relationships, because yes, we're feeling disgusted with the way we're feeling inside, but that disgust is really a yucky feeling, because we're not loving ourselves. And like I said, right, this is a daily practice. It's not something that we are going to be able to cultivate in one day, but if we practice it every day, we are able to establish a stronger foundation. And it can be something simple that we can do just to even cultivate it, right? So just reminding ourselves, right, that, or exploring, what else are we if we're not just this human body, right? And coming up with your own conclusion of what that is. For me, is that I'm a soul. And the other piece is, right, cognitively, consciously, every day, reminding yourself of it. And so writing it down is very helpful, because when you write it down, it's something that you can grab the next day to read, or later on in the day, or whenever you feel up to it, but as frequent as possible, to remind yourself, to anchor yourself with, right? And what you're doing is you're redirecting your thoughts. Your thoughts kind of get caught up with the day, but you want to bring yourself back, and having it, written down in a piece of paper that you carry in your wallet, or on your phone, in your notes section, or whatever other section you have in your phone that, to your liking, you put it in there and you read it, so that you can remind yourself, because it's easy to be like really feeling really good, or reminding ourselves one day, and then the next day get caught up with the stresses of life or the functioning of life, and then to easily get off track and to forget, right, what it is that we want to cultivate with ourselves. Because whenever we're starting something new, right, it's easy to just kind of default back to the old patterns and to forget what it is that we want to cultivate for ourselves. So we want to have something tangible that we can use to remind ourselves of what it is. And we can write, anything down that we want to remember, but we want it to be loving and supportive or encouraging, so that we can open up those doors to creating an opportunity for us to learn to love ourselves. All right, I'm going to end with that. I hope that helps. Have a beautiful day. Bye for now.